welcome to Keep It Spiritual with myself, Chris Meredith. Now, in this interview, I bring you the fabulous Jack Walton. Now, I've interviewed the lovely Jack before, so I'll pop that up there for you, and of course, it will be in the description below. Now, Jack, first of all, is such an inspirational person. His backstory, how he's overcome many trials and tribulations in his life, to be an author and bring out his first book, which was called Being the Best You. Now, Jack is back with a kind of a second book, and it's a journal as well called The Best You Journal. Now, if you've not got it, make sure you go and get it because it's a great follow-up to his first book. But one thing I love about a journal is that you can kind of write your own story, put your own trials and tribulations, but then you've got the lovely Jack Walton's inspirational words, quotes, and of course he's got more of a story in there as well. So it's the best of both worlds. So I really hope you enjoy this inspirational chat. It will make you feel great. It's full of positivity, of course, a little bit more about Jack's story and kind of what he's been up to. So here is the beautiful Jack Walton on Keep It Spiritual. I hope you enjoy. All right, Jack. Well, welcome back to Keep It Spiritual, my friend. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm really good. Thank you for actually letting me come back. This is amazing. I loved. It feels like ages since we did the first one, but I don't think it was that long ago, was it?
It wasn't. I think it was March time, maybe.
Oh,
I think
it's
February
fast,
or
isn't it?
yeah, it's gone quick. But I mean, so much has gone on since then. I mean, the whole UK's had a lockdown. We're kind of coming out of it, and there's a lot of reasons, out there to be a bit down and a bit stressed and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, how have you dealt with it, Jack?
I think there's been a lot of ups and downs, a bit like a roller coaster. There's been like ups, there's been downs, there's been turbulent moments, and I think everybody's just been navigating it the best they can. And I think when you're more, like spiritual or positive, although it's easier, it's still been quite hard at times. But I think when you've got tools that you can use, it's a big help. Like if it's meditation, or if it's journaling, or if it's like listening to a podcast, it can be anything, can't it? Watching your YouTube videos. It's whatever makes you feel good, isn't it? So it's been very interesting, and I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned as well for all of us, I think.
No, I do. I really agree with you there. And I think, having that positive mindset, or, having those kind of places to go where you can enjoy, escape, and like you were saying there, even to journal, having that outlet is so, so important. So do you think, having that positive mindset, no matter, what the situation a person could be going through, do you think that's a massive help for people to deal with? Do you think it can get people through?
I feel like it can, and I think it's always to an extent, because obviously with like external stuff, we can't really control it, but I think we can reframe it depending on what it is. And when you reframe it, it doesn't seem as negative as it is in that moment. I mean, for extreme examples, it's really hard to reframe like really, really tragic stuff. And that I feel like that stuff is like the minority. But for the everyday stresses, I guess, like the everyday stuff, that I think for the positive attitude that can just really change it. It can make it easier to go through that time. It can make it less mentally challenging, because a lot of the time we're put under so much mental pressure, we need an outlet to kind of escape. And I guess a lot of those outlets can be like food or alcohol or like stuff that isn't that good for us, but in the moment we don't really care because we just want relief. Like we just want to feel good. We don't care how. And sometimes we do that under whatever needs are necessary. But those are the times where we then regret it after, because we're like, oh, we shouldn't have done that, but we just do it to feel good. So when I do things to feel good, it's the alternative. I try to do things that I'm not going to regret after. I try to do things that will help me grow after. And that's a conscious choice, because we're not naturally programmed to choose those things. And that's why I guess like self-help and all this kind of world is becoming more popular now, because I guess people are bored of like the traditional ways that they're not really getting, like alcohol's great, but it's not really helping them after. They've got like a hangover. It's like, well, it's like a spiral. So I think people are turning to more alternative like routes. And I think that will just continue evolving.
It
Yeah.
really will, and keep growing and keep growing. So, a great way for people to get a little bit of support and escapism, is your first book, which is fabulous. We've spoke about it, being the
Yeah.
best you. Took you over 3 years to put together. It's very
Yeah.
personal to you. It's you overcoming, so many challenges in your life, Jack,
Yeah.
through positive thinking. It's a beautiful book. So do you think, we've gone through all this, so many people. So how do you think, your book, Being the Best You, first of all, could have helped people through this time?
I think there's things you could take from it, because there were very challenging times, from like dealing with my sexuality to like having anxiety to experiencing grief, and those things are very, like, they're very kind of, the mass public, I believe, could kind of the phone's thinking
Let it ring back. Hello.
don't go, right, what was I saying? Someone's picked it up now. Yes, I think there's lots of subjects that people can relate to, even if they've not come out as gay, even if they've not been bullied, even if they've not experienced grief. I mean, those are moments of intense stress. They're moments of intense, at times, sadness, negativity, whatever word you want to use, fear. So I hope, from going on that journey and what I did to overcome it, hopefully other people can pick up inspiration from that, because even if it is a really, really dark time, I believe there's a way out. And that's only when you're in your right mind. Like, when you're not in your right mind, that's when you don't believe that. And that's when people can self-harm, they can take their own lives, they can do all these kind of things, because they're not in their right mind, they're not thinking straightforwardly. And because I've been in that mindset too, I hope I can kind of show people that it really can get better, because when you're in that mindset, you don't believe it will, and you don't believe it can. And because I have been in both kind of spectrums, I just hope that people believe it, because I never used to believe it when people would say, oh, yeah, it'll get better. And when you are so kind of in it, and you're so in that toxic mindset, it's hard to believe what anybody says, especially somebody like me, who, I guess a lot of people will be like, oh, he's positive, he's about positive thinking, I don't really believe in that. Well, hopefully if you read some of the book, or even if you just look at my Instagram, you'll know that I've actually been through a lot of hard stuff, and there's definitely not been just rainbows and sequins. It's been a lot of like the darker side as well. So that's the long-winded answer to your question.
No, but Jack, I mean, that is it. People will see you, and fair enough. You live, love and light. Very positive person. But you've not got there and woke up one morning and thought, okay, everything's rainbow, everything's glitter. You've actually been through, those really dark times, those hard times that we all go through. But you've actually made it out to the other end, and you might not have days that are all full of rainbows and glitter, but one thing, with yourself and being the best you, it's a great crutch to have on those days when you're having a bit of a wobble.
That's true. I think it's the fact that having tools that you can like lean on when you need to, and I think that's really great, because I mean, we're not really taught to have these kind of tools, the mental ones, and I think when you do like read a self-help book like I have, or if you watch a video or whatever, it's just so insightful to like get that knowledge that until maybe a few years ago, it's not really spoke about as much. This kind of holistic, alternative, whatever word you want to give it, basically not the typical standard, which sadly usually is to just like have a tablet, have some form of medication, which that is usually the norm if you, for example, have got anxiety, because really people don't really want to offer anything else unless you go down holistic routes and like mindset stuff and mindfulness. And again, I think it's just take what works for you and leave what doesn't, because some of this stuff won't resonate and you'll be like, no, it doesn't work for me, but some stuff will work as well. So I think it's just taking what you kind of see fit, really. Yeah.
And what works for you. No, totally. And we've got to talk about, you've got a new book / journal that's, it's going to be out by the time this video is out, Jack, as well, which is so exciting. So let us all know what the Best You journal is all about.
Sure. So because you're watching this now, it's out now. So I can say it. It's going to be on Amazon. Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, but I guess you're probably going to get it from Amazon because that's the easiest, right? But it's on all of those, and I have been working on it since last October, so 10 months from start to finish. A lot quicker than my book, because with the journal it's not been as hard, because it's really been about actually creating things for the reader to do. So it's like a book and a journal in one, so there is stuff to read and then there's stuff to do. So the first like 25% of the book is text, and then the biggest part is the actual stuff. So there's still more activities than reading. So if you're not a reader, you can still gonna get a big benefit from it. The 4 sections are goal setting, self-care, morning routines, and spirituality. It's called Spirituality Made Easy, because I wanted to like break down, because not a lot of books that I've read, but I know some books, it can be a lot of jargon, and spirituality, I think, can really scare people, basically, is what I think. Like, I've got a lot of people my age that I just think they feel like, what is it? I don't know. It feels a bit scary. It's like, what is it really? What is it? And actually, it really isn't. It's just the most simple stuff, right? And I think spirituality should be made accessible for people that actually wouldn't originally kind of access those tools. Like, for example, affirmations are pretty spiritual, but people probably don't do them because they don't know what they are. There's like self-care practices in there, there's goal setting, there's monthly targets in there. You can do mental health check-ins, so you can talk about your mental health and how you're feeling today. You can talk about what's bothering you today and what's on your mind, so there's like a space to unload. There's a morning routine page, so you can like plan a new morning routine if you want to, because I know that's like a big one for people. So there's mindset stuff, but then there's also spiritual stuff, there's also mental health stuff, so it's a bit of everything. I've looked at a lot of journals, and a lot of them are all around like the success side of it and like just goals, but I don't think that's really helpful. I think you need to have other things, like having time for self-care, because if you do just keep doing and not really having time for you, it's hard, isn't it? You burn out then. So I wanted to make it a bit of well-being, also a bit of development stuff, and also a bit of spirituality. So it's almost all of that intertwined. And also everything within there to do is either free or very cost effective. So literally every single thing in the journal, it really won't cost you anything to do. And that's another thing, because I've seen a lot of journals that are aimed at not really the mass market, like success stuff, where you've got to spend like all sorts of money to do things, and that's not what's going to be appealing to the mass public. That's not going to work. And especially now with like COVID and stuff, we need simple things that we can do just anywhere, and we don't have to like spend loads of money. And I think that shouldn't be a barrier either. Like, I'm really passionate about that to live a really great life, there shouldn't be those barriers of like, there's a course there that's like £1,000, so I can't do it. Well, actually, you don't really need to do that. You can just do stuff right now, and you can just build that practice up. I mean, it just takes time, I think. And I think even with like courses that you invest in, you can have them, but nothing will happen. You've actually got to do them and then kind of go through that process. So with the journal, if you get it and you read it like, I might do it like next week, the week after, nothing will really happen unless you actually go for it. And I think I've learned that myself through doing stuff, that I actually need to make it happen myself. And I need to, like, it's all right me reading the self-care book and the self-help book and watching the documentary, but if I don't really follow up and do anything, it's kind of been a waste of time, because I've heard it, but I've not really followed up. And with the journal, you can read the stuff and do it in one. So hopefully you'll be more inclined to turn a page and set the goal after reading about goal setting. Hopefully you'll be more inclined to read about morning routines and then plan your own. So I've done it. So hopefully it gets your attention and then you can follow through. Because I know we're so like, our attention now, it's like 7 to 8 seconds and then we're like done. So I really, hopefully it will be the opposite of boring, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, Jack, if it's anything like you, it so will be. And I just love that you kind of took the best elements, and put it all together, in a journal that's going to be interesting. It's going to keep our attention, but, it's kind of going to grow, with ourselves as well, which is lovely. And, one thing I love about journals, I mean, for me, I haven't got many journals at all. So yours, I'm going to make it kind of my kind of journal. to really journal
Amazing.
like properly, because it's something that I want to do. You've got your
Yeah.
positive in there, you've got your goal setting, but it's more, you know, about your self-care as well, and you've got your mental
Yeah.
health side in there. So it's
Yeah.
all those elements that for me will create kind of a perfect life that you want. The elements you're kind of ticking off, but you're not just ticking off, you know, for the sake of it. You're doing it for you, nobody else. You know, that's
Oh,
the most important thing.
oh, I love that. And I think that's what it is, taking little bits of everything, because really to like live a really great life, you can't just do like the hustle 24/7, because then like it doesn't work. And I see certain people kind of preaching that kind of stuff, and that's fine, but I I don't relate to it fully, because I know that I need to have that time for me. So I just try to cherry pick bits of everything in my life, and then the journal is basically what was born from me doing this stuff. So basically it's like, that's why it's happened, because I'm quite a complex person. I need to cherry pick lots of different things that work for me. I can't just do one route ever. I need to have my own kind of formula. So that's what's in the journal, because I feel like a lot of people now with the same will do a little bit of this, a bit of that, and it's what works for you, isn't it? And I think people sometimes they judge themselves thinking, oh, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Should I do it this way? And really, there's no right or wrong way to do it. If it feels good, that's actually all that matters. And I think I was saying in the journal, we need to really think a bit more about the feeling side. Like, how does it actually make you feel? Like, we do bog down in the logistics and thinking about it. Like, oh, is this right? Like, are other people doing it this way? Let's research and see. Well, actually, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It's how it makes you feel. We need to really focus on the feeling more, because if it actually makes you feel good, that should be full stop. Not like, what about, what if, what that. No, does it make you feel good? If the answer is yeah, then do it. Then do that practice. It doesn't really matter what it is. If it makes you feel good, like actually good, not like, you know, having all the glass of Prosecco and the next one having the headache good. And then like, oh no, I regret it because I love Prosecco, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I had too much. But does it actually make you really, really feel good? And only you know the answer to that. And if it does, then that's awesome. So that's kind of that's like the idea behind it.
I love it. So, you know, the best you journal, I would say, is about living your best life.
Hell yes.
I love that. I love it, Jack. I'm so excited for it. I really am, because, you know, I've got so many books. Like you were saying, you know, books are great, but they're from someone's point of view. Some are filled with a lot of jargon. Do this, do that. Once you've done that, spend $5,000 on a retreat with me somewhere else. And then, you know, maybe you've got it, maybe you've not. And, you know, the way that you've put this journal together is for everyone's own individual story, which for me is the only book that people need, is their own.
Oh my God, it's your own. Yeah, that's actually oh my God, that's so true.
It is.
Oh, I love that. Isn't that true? That's so true. Like, everyone has their own book. Oh, that's an interesting thought of the day, isn't it? Everyone has their own book.
They do, but what you've done, you've created the front cover, the back cover. They've just got to put their own story in it, which I just love.
And I think that's probably the best bit about, I think, like, this kind of stuff, is that you can make it your own then. How cool is that? I mean, like, there could be, like, all sorts of people that might use a journal. I don't really think it matters who you are, what age you are. Like, you can all just use it. And I think everyone should be able to do that, and hopefully that's what will happen.
It will do. I'll sprinkle with a bit of Jack Walton over the top. So good. I love it, Jack. I love it. Well, you know, going back to it, and one thing, you know, I love about the journal that's going to be in it is, you know, you've got the mental health aspect in there, and that's you know, so important, which, you know, probably 99.9% of spiritual books and journals have left out. It's just not there, you know, which I think it's so important for it to be there, because we need, you know, a healthy mental attitude to be able to put all the practices in place. We really do. So, you know, how important do you think it is, Jack, to have that in?
I mean, I think a lot of spiritual people talk about, like, mental health, but in a different way, like by talking about emotions and stuff, which I totally agree with. But I think it's probably best to not beat around the bush and just to kind of say that it's mental health check-in and it's been about your mental health, because yes, they are emotions, but I think that's like thinking about our mental health as a separate thing. It's really important, because our physical health is one thing, and then you've got your mental health. And I think for people that have got like chronic health conditions, their mental health can be really bad, and that's just because it's connected. So your mental health and physical health is connected. So when your physical health isn't doing so well, chances are, unless you are super positive, your mental health will be taking a bit of a battering as well, just because physically you're just feeling like exhausted or you're in pain, whatever it is. It's hard when your physical health isn't good to have good mental health. But then also when you've got not great mental health, your physical health will suffer as well. And I just think it's really important to think about both of them, because I think mental health, because it's like literally it's your mind, it's at the top of our budget. I feel like that's almost like the driving force of everything. I'd also say that if you've got really strong mental health, even if physically there's stuff going on, if you've got that resilience and that good attitude, you can kind of push through like illnesses. I mean, I've seen people that are like, they're diagnosed with cancer and they're positive, and I'm like, wow, but that's only because of what's going on up here. And I think that's like just beyond belief, really. And I think if we can really watch our mental health and just keep an eye on it in just like a really casual way, like by checking in with it and just saying, how am I actually feeling right now? I think that's the best way, and almost to not make a negative thing about it, because I think maybe that's why people don't mention it as much, because it might have a negative connotation. So, oh, it's mental health, but technically it's just the same physical health. But when we say mental health, we seem to think of a negative. When we say physical health, it's like, yeah, it's neutral. Physical health, physical fitness, right?
Yeah.
But when you say mental health,
how many people go to the gym, Jack? Every single day, go to the gym, work on that physical strength. What about here? How many people focus really, how are we doing up here? And the more we don't deal with it, that's what builds up, and that's where, sometimes, bad things can happen. But if we nip it in the bud, know what to look out for, it's going to be in the journal bit by bit. I just think it's a great place for people to discover it. It really is.
And I think that's made me just remember that actually, like, we go to the physical gym, but I think journaling is like a mind gym. I think all this stuff is like a mind gym. So self-care, affirmations, like journaling, that's your mind gym. A lot of us don't go to the mind gym, we just go to the actual gym. But that's all well and good. But actually, if you're not feeling great, you're not really going to care what you look like physically, because if you're not feeling great, it will never be enough. I've known lots of gym goers and their body's in great shape, but mentally they're just not there. So they don't think they look good. They're like, no, I need to look better, I need to look better. It's constantly trying to look better because they're never really happy with how they're looking. But that's because they're not going to the mind gym. Because I guess that's not seen as important, because it's something we can't see. So I know it's like a totally different route, but we're just so focused on the superficial outside of us, because that's what everybody else sees. It's like, oh, we've got to put all the effort and energy and money and time into that, because that's what the world sees every day. But actually, we have to live in our brain like 90% of the time. Like, that's where we're living. So shouldn't it be a nice place to be? Well, that's literally where we live in. That should be like a nice place to live, right?
It really, really should be. It really should be. And I totally agree with that. And, I just say, to have that positive mental attitude, regardless, because we all, can like just be horrible to ourselves at times. We really can. We really can be our, worst enemy. Yeah, we really can. And, we not give ourselves the credit we deserve, not look after ourselves. And, it is sad. We're in that kind of society where we would, beat ourselves up, and, and let other people beat us up as well. And it's like, you sticking up for you, and getting ourselves, well, so what? I've got a lump and bump. Who cares? Or I've got a spot on my face, or my hair's not perfect, or put on weight, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're still a beautiful person inside and out. Give yourself a break.
Oh my God, you totally get it. That is so true. And I think with this stuff, hopefully that's what will help people become more kind of just open to it. Because a lot of that stuff is seen as quite woo-woo and fluffy and whatever, because you're ultimately being nice to yourself and giving yourself permission to relax and to do self-care. And that stuff can be seen as really fluffy, but actually that's the stuff that will really see you live an even better life. Like, it doesn't matter where you are right now in your life, you can live an even better one always. And if it's something you've not tried before, I would say just give it a go. If it doesn't work, fair enough, because things don't work for everyone. But just give them a go.
Why not? Why not? Give it a go. Why not, Jack? And I love it. So, for people that have read as well your first book, Being the Best You, the Best You journal for me is kind of like, it's a perfect completion of a journey. That's one thing, because, people have read your story and what you've gone through and took inspiration from that. But now people can put their own story in the journal, which for me is like two halves coming together, create a perfect circle.
I mean, it's weird that you say that, because that's what it is. It's like the end of that now. And I can't say anything more, because you just summed it up in that. That's what it is. Yeah, that's literally what it is. That it's like the end of that kind of chapter. And it's almost kind of like, well, these are the things that I did in the book, but with the journal, it's like, well, like now I want everyone else to do it, and see what happens. And in there, that's just some of the things. Like I'd be here all day saying everything, but that's just some of the things, and I think they're the key things. But also, when people start doing it, it will snowball, and then they'll find more things they want to do and get involved with, and then they'll just be on their journey then. And yeah, that's all it's about, isn't it? It's just sharing the love, I guess. Sharing the love, spreading the love, and helping people to live whatever life they want to live, whatever it is to them. I mean, and that's another thing, like with living your best life. I mean, I want to show people that living your best life is not a term for reality TV stars off Love Island. Do you know what I mean? It really isn't. Like, we hear that phrase, living your best life, and people cringe, but I want to give a different spin on living your best life, as in, you could literally be doing the most like simple job, but if you're really happy and you've got great relationships and you've got a great like physical, mental health, like that is living your best life. You don't have to be doing glamorous, beautiful things. You really don't. And I think even that term can be used in the wrong way, and that's why what living your best life is, it's actually authentic stuff. Because living your best life from a social media point of view is actually the opposite of that. It's living a superficial life that really just gives you moments of happiness, stuff that looks good, stuff that's socially acceptable. I mean, the stuff that is great in the moment, but they're just that's all they are. They're just moments, right? But if you can actually live a life that you really, really do enjoy, and it doesn't matter what it is, if you enjoy it, that's all that matters. It's not a social construct, it's what you want to do. So that's my take on living your best life. I want to make it a bit more accessible, because I loved it when I first heard it, but I thought I want to make it like, actually, this is what it really means. So yeah, maybe, I'm not sure how popular that opinion is, but that's what it means to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, because we always see the superficial, shiny version of people living their best life. But, people actually living their best life is them actually, the relationships that matter, the people that count, doing, self-love for ourselves, that's people, living the best lives, not, Instagram, like snap, 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 snap. I mean, how many moments is there? It's gone. No one's bothered about it.
Gone. Yeah.
And that's it. And, but Jack Walton, you are living your best life. We've got to end it on there. Jack, but you are, of course, the Best You journal is out now. I'm absolutely gutted that you can't pass one through the screen to me, and then I have it. But, I will get it. But thank you, Jack Walton, for being a guest on Keep It Spiritual. Once again, love it, Jack.
Thank you for inviting me. I've loved it. Thank you so much.
There we are. That was a lovely Jack Walton right there. If you did want to purchase the Best You journal, I'll put everything in the description below just for you. And if you want to find anything more about Jack, it will be there as well. Well, I've got to say a massive thank you for watching Keep It Spiritual. Go and watch some more videos as well. And of course, give us a massive thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell as well, so you do not miss a video. Now, until next time, I've been Chris Meredith, and this has been Keep It Spiritual. I'll see you later.